Hello everyone. So today we are going to be solving this longest consecutive sequence problem on Leetcode, which is 128. And I hope you tried to solve that problem. And if you were not able to solve that problem, don't worry. I got you, and we will solve this problem together. Okay. So let's try first try to understand the problem statement itself. Okay, and what it is asking us to, because that is very important in solving problem on Leetcode type problems. That you need to understand the problem itself first, and then the constraint and overall like what this problem is asking. All right, so first let's read. Given an unsorted array of integers nums, return the length of the longest consecutive element sequence. Problem statement is very simple. You need to return the longest consecutive element sequence, length of that. So meaning in this example the output is 4, so which is 1 2 3 4 is the sequence that is longest, and we can see into this input also that yes, it is a valid and the length of that sequence is 4. So that's what we need to do. And it is also asking us that you must write an algorithm that runs in O(1) time. That is very important. Okay, and then we go to this constant. We can check here what are the values that will be coming up, how long like the input length could is there for everything that related to that particular problem, because this is very important. All right, now that we have seen that okay, it's like negative and positive, all the numbers can be there, and the length of that input could be 10 to 5 5. All right, so now that we know this thing, let's try to solve this problem one by one. Okay, try to understand the solution one by one. So the basic solution is to simply just pick the values by running loop, and just for each value just go left and right and keep increasing the count. All right, so for example this 100, you just go to the left side of the 100 by reducing one by one, and to the right side of this reducing one by one. Okay, this is what you do, and you keep track of the count, and you will be able to find the answer. And after that count is done, so for example you check 100 minus 1, what is the value? 99. So you check 99 exists into this value. If not, if yes, let's just for example assume that it exists, so we can say okay, 99 exists. Okay, great, we increase the count to plus 1, and then we go to 98, 97, and we keep going until we don't find the value into this list, meaning that's the end of that list. Same, we go to the right side. Okay, what are the values that we increase one by one by one by, and how long till we can find the value. So it will be like certain value, and we keep increase the count, and we just total count whatever the left count, whatever the right count plus 1, whatever the answer is, we can just update the answer. All right, we can keep track of that. And it would be like a bad time complexity, because we know that we are just unnecessarily counting the left and right. We don't need to do that. Now what is the smart solution? So let's talk about that. Okay, so let me just remove this. Okay, so let's talk about a smart solution, which is it's not like intuitive at first, because like for example if you are just beginner, it won't come to you like naturally. But once I explain you the approach, you will be able to like, oh, that makes sense, you will say that something like this. So let's try to understand that. So what we are doing is we are going to left, we are going left, and then we are going to right. But tell me something, if I can tell you that okay, somehow if I can tell you that okay, if any element that we are processing, for example from 1 2 3 something like that, we are going one by one. Okay, this is how the loop works, right? If I can tell you whether this element is the starting point of that series or not, based on that, can we say that if I can tell you this is the starting point of this element is the starting point of the series, some series, I can confidently say that I don't need to check the left. Now I know this is a big claim, like what do you mean by that? So what I'm trying to say is this. Okay, let's just say talk about 100. So if I can tell you 100 is the number that is the starting point of the series. Now I don't know about right side, but I know that it is the starting point of the series. So can I say that what does it mean by starting point of the series? Meaning the number minus 1 value does not exist into this list. This is what it means basically, right? So if the value doesn't exist, so I don't need to check the left side, right? So we can just erase this value. We can just say we don't need to check left, so remove the left, and we only need to worry about right side. That's it. Now how do we check? The question is this: how do we check whether this value is the starting point of that series or not? Well, it's very simple. Remember the hash table? Well, this is where hash table is very useful for us, because what we can do is we can store these values into the hash table or set. Basically what they will do is we can just instantly check, or in the constant time we can check that whether this value exists or not. So what, instead of just 100 minus 1, we can just check 100 minus 1 does exist into this set or hash table. If yes, then it cannot be the starting point of the series. What do I mean by that? So for example, let's talk about the second example, which is, let's just say after some time we are at 4 level, we are processing the 4 element. So for 4, this is the value. Okay, now what is the 4 minus 1? 3. So we will check whether 3 exists into the set or not. We will find out yes, 3 does exist into the set, which means 4 cannot be the starting point of that series because 3 exists. So if there is a series which is consecutive, so it must look like this 3 4. So how can the 4 be the starting point, right? We can definitely see that okay, 4 is not the one. So we don't do anything with that. We just move. Basically we just move to the next value. We just remove this. Okay, 4 is not the one we should mess around, and just go and do process next element, because we don't need, because this is not the starting point. As I said, the solution is this key. We will only check the right side when it's the starting point of the series, and 4 is not, clearly not. And how we are checking? We just stored all the values into the base map or set, and then we are processing one by one, and then we're checking 1 minus 1, a number minus 1, whether this exists. Great, because if it exists, meaning this is not the starting point, so we don't do anything, we just move to the next one. And what happens when this something is starting point? We just calculate the right value already. Meaning, for example, in this 100 case, what we did was very simple. 100 minus 1, 99. 99 does exist into this list? No, it doesn't. So meaning this is the starting point of the series. Now we don't know how long it will go. It's not our problem. We can calculate by using the right pointer. We can just say run the loop, which will just increase one by one by one by, and it will keep updating our answer. Okay, that's the main idea behind this. Now now interesting thing is this, which I'm sure you might be confusing, is that how will I be able to calculate this answer? Because as I said, the what we call it, the fact that we moved from the 4, how do we know that okay, this 4 will come into the or actual answer later on? Well, we can say this for sure because we checked first if 4 minus 1, 3 exists into this nums list or hash table that we made, or the sets that we made from this list. Okay, which means there is a 3 element which we haven't processed yet, which exist. All right, so now when we come to 3, so for example, in this example 1 is first, but let's just assume ki 1 is at the end of this list. This is where the 1 is, and this is 3. Basically this is what its nums look like. So in this case, what will happen? We'll process the 200, same, left doesn't exist, left, meaning 199 doesn't exist, so it means this is the starting point of the list. We will check right side, 201 also doesn't exist, so the count is 1. So we will just update the 1. Okay, the answer is 1 at this point. Then we'll go to this. This is like this is 2. Basically you can just say 2 instead of 3, because that would make much more sense. Okay, let me just remove this first so that you can. Let me just write it to. This is 2 basically. This is 2. Not this is 2. This is 2. So we process the 200. Good. Now we come to 2. Same thing we will check. 2 minus 1, 1 exists. Yes, 1 exists. So meaning this 2 cannot be the starting point. So we don't do anything. Same thing with 3. 3 minus 2, 2 exists. Yes. We know that 3 minus 2 is, 3 minus 1 is 2. So 2 is into the list, which means 3 cannot be the starting point of the series. We moved on. 1. 1 minus 1, 0. 0 doesn't exist into this list. So now we know 1 is the starting point of the series. So all we need to do is keep going right now. So in which 2 is exist, 3 exists, 4 exists. See how using this one we make sure we included all the values that was into this. So by doing that, we only run the loop only one time, and we didn't rework the same thing again and again and again for all the thing, because the reason we are skipping it because we know something exists which is smaller than this current value. So meaning that if there is ever a starting point, that would be the first, right? And we check that using hash map. So by that same logic we will utilize to write the code, and by the same logic we make sure that we don't to rework again and again for left right for the all the elements. All right. So I hope you hope this solution is made you little sense to you, and now go and try to implement it using this approach. And other, if you are able to do that, good job. If you can't, then don't worry. Here's the solution that I'm writing. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. If let's just say assume key the number is like nums is like length of this nums is 0. So in this case, you just return 0, nothing. Okay. First, nums set, which is set of num. The reason we are doing this set instead of hash map, we can do hash map also, it doesn't matter. The reason is very simple. Key, what if there are like multiple ones? You know what I mean? So for example, think about this. What if there is only one more one? So then we will run this to all for all the ones, because for the same logic we come here 1 minus 1 0, 0 also doesn't exist, so we will again 1 2 3 4 5 again 1 2 3 4. That not we want to do it. Okay, so instead of running the loop on this nums, we run the loop on num set. Okay, so that because in the sets it's all the unique value. Okay, and answer is equal to 0 for num in nums set. Simple. If num minus 1 in nums set, meaning this value or this number cannot be the starting point of the sequence. So we just don't do anything, we just continue. All right. Now, meaning this condition didn't run, meaning this value is the starting point. Meaning what did we do? We checked num minus 1, check does this exist into the set? It doesn't, meaning this is the starting point, right? For example, 100 minus 1, 99, 99 doesn't exist. So meaning 100 must be the starting point of the series. Now we need to worry about the right side. So what we can do is we can set temp count it's equal to 1, because current value is like a 1, right? So at least if we didn't even have the next value in the set, at least we consider this value as a 1, right? So and we can say right value is equal to num plus 1, and we will check while right value right well in nums set we will keep incrementing the temp count plus is equal to 1, and right rigst is equal to also 1, because we just check okay 1 exists, good, 2 exists, good, 3 exists, good, 4 exists, good. We will keep going until the num set value keep finding them, and we will also increasing the count because because we need to return the length. After this loop is done, we will just recalculate the answer, which is maximum of our answer so far or this temp count. Maybe we found something better, and we just return this thing here. Return answer. That's it. That's the answer of the problem. Let's try to submit it, and it's got accepted, and let's just submit this problem. Now we try to run it and submit, and it got accepted. Okay, so that's the solution to this problem. I hope you understood the solution and problem, and do let me know what you think about this solution and what you want me to solve the next problem. Till that, happy coding. Thank you so much.